Big country politics. Ryan Zink pardoned for January 6 involvement. We deserve to know the truth. Ryan Zink, a former District 19 Republican candidate for Congress, was convicted for his involvement in the January 6 Capitol breach and sentenced to federal prison. After receiving pardons for 2 misdemeanors and a felony charge, Zink is now focused on moving forward. He believes the full story of January 6 has yet to be told and is determined to continue his fight for justice, citing issues with the court proceedings and coverage of the event. Lubbock man gets some federal prison time for January 6 Capitol breach. It's been about a year and a half since Zink was convicted of entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, as well as disorderly conduct in a restricted building or grounds in connection with the January 6 U.S. Capitol breach. He was sentenced to 3 months in federal prison, followed by a year of supervised release. Since then, Trump and the U.S. Supreme Court have pardoned Zink on 2 misdemeanors and a felony charge. According to Zink, one of the most significant aspects of these pardons is the opportunity to get the real story out about January 6. But as for the rest of the 1,447 days that we've gone through this, it's been an extremely trying time during the stress of all of this. My wife and I finally decided to come forward that we had 2 miscarriages during this time over misdemeanors where the federal government had just absolutely destroyed the lives of Americans for protesting, Zink shared. Candidate for U.S. Representative District 19 shares experience from January 6 and campaign goals. In a video, Zink was quoted saying, "We knocked down the gates. We're storming the Capitol. You can't stop us." Prosecutors argued that Zink's congressional campaign was merely an attempt to continue portraying himself as a victim, pointing to a lack of remorse for his actions. However, Zink claimed he was tortured and practically poisoned while in jail. 4 years later, he stated he wouldn't have done anything differently and highlighted something he believes has been overlooked by the mainstream media, even when you look at recent events. On the 20th, the Department of Justice actually had the first January 6 defendant acquitted long before the pardon was issued. "There are more severe charges than mine that were associated with that, and that's not being covered," Zink said. "I'm going forward with the appeal. That is the reason that I was sent to federal prison. The prosecutors tried to give me 5.5 years in prison, and I was remanded to 90 days because I wouldn't apologize. What prosecutors allowed to centralize themselves around my congressional campaign, saying that it was nothing more than an extension of what I believe. That's not true at all. I wanted to represent the people of Congressional District 19, and I may actually follow up on that to see if they have any additional comments about that." Trump defends pardoning of violent January 6 offenders. He claims the prosecutions have been riddled with lies and misrepresentations about the events of that day and insists that the truth is about to come to light. When you look at the approach of the federal government in the way that they have absolutely maliciously gone after Americans who were either walking through the building or, like myself, who only spoke. I never entered the building. I never assaulted anyone. I never damaged any property. I was actually on the East Port protecting police officers. All of this is on video. And then you have a populace of jurors who, 92.68%, voted for Kamala Harris and viewed all Trump supporters as a threat to democracy, Zink explained. That is where you get all of these guilty convictions and the way that they have been able to manipulate the system. As for me, I had the right that day for my First Amendment constitutional rights to go in as a journalist and speak about what was going on. Zink stated that he was there to cover the event, but still had the right to his opinion and to express it. He emphasized that people need to understand the full context of what happened. "We have just been told that we were acknowledged for the fact that we had permits to protest inside of the area that they're saying is this restricted cordon-off area that had all these signs, and that's just simply not true. The signs were not all the way around there," Zink recalled. "It was a figure of speech of 'we knocked down the gates.' We're storming the Capitol. That you can't stop us is you can't stop us from protesting. They're putting us into this category that we were all there as just these violent insurrectionists and nobody was armed. The way that this has been portrayed is just absolutely insane." Trump's January 6 certification marks political comeback.